All right. So first, let me just clear this out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I just had to clear that out. Yeah. So in this one, we're gonna be talking about while loops. So what is a while loop? When do we use it? Why do we use it? Why do we need it? Okay. Now, say you want to create a program, right? A simple program, a basic program, basic program, and that's going to count from one all the way until 10, right? So right here we want to count from 1 to 10. So 2, 3. Okay, I copied that wrong. Okay, let me just copy this 3 now to make it 6, 9, and that's 12. And I say we're going to do there we go. So this is 10, right? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So this is how you would print numbers from 1 to 10, right? So using the knowledge that you have gotten so far, right? And if I run this, you know exactly what's going to happen, right? So this is for those that are doubting me, because I know, you got that 1 or 2 doubters, the non-believers. So for the non-believers, let's just run this program for them so that they can see that I'm not lying and it's actually 1 to 10, right? So 1 to 10. So this is how you would do it, right? So notice how you did the same thing over and over and over again. You did system.out, system.out print. So it's the same thing over and over again. So there's a repetition here, right? So surely there must be an easier way to do that. So this is where loops come into play, right? So loops make it easier for us to do the same task over and over and over and over again, right? So how does this work, right? So firstly, I'm going to show you guys the while loop, right? The while loop, right? So while loop works in this way. So basically, let me say loops work in this way. So there's a certain there's something common in all of them, right? So it is initialize, right? Initialize, increment. What is it? Initialize. Oh, sorry. Initialize, check, increment. This is how I like to define it. Someone else might define it in different way, but you need these 3 steps when you are working with loops: initialize, check, and increment. Increment. Hopefully that's how you spell increment. I don't know how you spell increment. Hopefully that's how you do it. So initialize, check, increment. It might be written differently from they might teach it differently, but just you need to understand the concept of loops, right? So initialize, check, increment, right? So you need those 3 steps in order to perform a successful loop, right? If you skip one of these steps or you miss one of these steps, your loop is not going to work correctly. Any loop is not going to work correctly, right? So when you're talking about a while loop, right? So firstly, we initialize outside, right? Initialize outside. Right? I spelled initialize wrong. There it is. So initialize outside, and then we increment. Oh, sorry, and then we check, right? And then increment inside the loop, right? So check condition. So we check condition and then increment inside the loop. What does all of this mean, right? So when I say initialize outside the loop, so you initialize a value outside the loop, right? So I'm going to create a simple value here. There it is. So I've initialized x to be 1, right? I didn't declare x, I initialized by giving it a value of 1. Okay, now, and then I need to check the condition, right? So how do I check the condition? I use a while statement. Okay, so now I need to say while. What am I checking? I'm checking the variable that I've created, the variable that I've initialized. So I need to say while x, and what do I want to do? I can say while x is less than 10, right? And then open my curly brackets. Now I'm inside the loop, right? And what do I need to do inside the loop? I need to increment inside the loop. So let me just cut this and paste this inside here. I need to increment inside the loop. Why am I incrementing? The same variable that I have initialized, so x plus plus. So this is how you increment it, or you can say is equal to x plus 1. So whichever way you want to write it is it's correct, but I prefer to just use x plus plus to do a post increment. Excuse me, to do a post increment, right? So yeah, this is I've initialized outside, right? Initialized outside. Let me just write this in line, right? So I've initialized outside, and then I've checked the condition, and then I increment inside the loop. So these are the steps that I have followed when creating my for loop. Okay. So this structure does not break; it remains the same with a while loop. Initialize outside, check the condition, increment inside the loop. Okay. If you do not increment, then you are going to end up with an infinite loop where your loop just keeps on going; it does not end. Okay. Right. Now, I usually increment as a last step. Okay. And then right here, I will say system.out.print. Right. And then what do I want to print? Maybe I want to print 1. Right. So remember, this is going to repeat the step so many times. Let me just show you what I mean, and then run this program. As you can see, it printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it printed 9 times. It printed 1. This statement here, I can put anything inside here. I can put hello, right? I can put hello inside here, right? And then when I double check this, now it says hello 9 times, right? So what's going on? What's going on is that I've set x to be 1, right? And then the check statement says while x is less than 10, right? What's x currently? X currently is 1, right? So 1 is definitely less than 10, right? If it is, then print out the statement. So it printed out the statement, and then it came and then it increased x by 1. So now, since it's a loop, it goes back and checks the condition again. So since x has been increased by 1, sorry about that, it's flu season. So now since x has been increased by 1, what's the value of x now? Right? The value of x right now is 2, right? Because we increased it by 1. So now x is 2. So 2 is less than 10. So this condition is still valid, right? So then the loop is going to get executed again all the way until now x becomes 9, right? So now when x is 9, because when I check, is 9 less than 10? Yes, it is. And then it gets executed for the last time. And then now x changes to be 10. So now it goes back and checks again. Is x less than 10? Is 10 less than 10? No, 10 is not less than 10. So now since this condition is now invalid, everything inside now gets jumped, okay? And then the program can now end. Right? Say we wanted to include 10 in this equation, we would say is equal to, or is less or equal to, sorry, is less or equal to 10. Then when we run it, now 10 is now included. So 10 is equal to 10. So when x is 10, it's going to execute. And then after executing, increase x one more time to be 11. Then when it goes back, 11 is not less or equal to 10. So now it jumps, okay? Now, say we wanted to, remember we actually wanted to count from 1 to 10, right? So if I put 1 in here and then run it, it's going to print 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's not what we're looking for, right? We want to count from 1 to 10. Right? So now I need to think which variable is constantly changing, which one is not the same, right? And that variable would be x, right? Remember, x is being changed, right? So initially it's 1, and then inside the loop it's being changed to be 2, to be 3, 4, 5, all the way until it is 11 to make the while loop to be invalid. Now, if I was to print the value of x in here, now I want to print the variable of x. This is going to give me the correct numbering system now, right? So as you can see, now I'm printing the value of x, right? So initially x is 1, as you can see, 1, and then x is being increased by 1, right? So it increases all the way until it becomes 10. So once it is 10, it gets printed out, and then it is increased once again to be 11, right? So if you were asked what is the value of x after this loop has been has executed, right, your answer should be 11, right? Not 10. Your answer is 11 because it got increased. Yes, it got printed out as 10, but now it got increased for the last time to be 11, right? So it got plus 1. In order to see that, you can even have a system out print here and say the final value, right? Final value of x is, right? I'm going to print the value of x right here for you so that you can see, because I know I'm going to have someone who's going to doubt me. So let's just do that and have the value of x. As you can see, the final value of x is 11, right? So because it got increased for the last time, and then when it came to check, 11 is not less than or equal to 11. And that's why the loop has terminated. Right. So this has been the while loop. I hope you guys have learned something, and I will see you guys on the next one where I explain the for loop.